An unscheduled Game 7? A legend goes down at the worst time, and Cody Rhodes finally steps up to the GOAT on the mic, so just keep watching. Let's just keep it real. You want to get to watch WrestleMania, so let's get right to the matches and just keep winning Game 7, finally, as Carmelo Hayes outlasts 25 other men, but most notably Andrade, to win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And I've nothing else, I am a completionist, so here's every single elimination. R-Truth stole Carlito's apple and then spit him out of the ring. The Miz kicked Truth out of Awesome Truth again. Rey Fenix began his dazzling display by Rana-ing Berto and then uppercutting Garza, which impressed Escobar yet again. A-Town Down then actually did something right by tossing out both members of Pretty Deadly at the same time. Then Kaiser missile dropkick bait, but still trying to recruit Fenix. Escobar failed, and Fenix tossed him out. Brutus Creed just muscled up and tossed out Tozawa, but that of course angered Otis, so he double clotheslined both Creed brothers, but in doing so he couldn't stop his own momentum and fell to the floor, with them eliminating himself. Andrade got into the act and he tossed out both members of A-Town Down Under. Then Rey Fenix showed that the finally healthy Chad Gable still has a luchador problem by throwing him out. Then Nakamura tossed out Joaquin Wilde, followed by Karrion Kross with a crosshammer to Cruz del Toro. But Dragon Lee was obviously not pleased with that, so he dumped out Kross. But Lee was then overexcited perhaps, and Nakamura flipped him out. Pete Dunne then put Kaiser into head scissors and used his momentum to eliminate Kaiser. But maybe the most impactful move of the night was The Miz, when both he and Hayes were hanging on for dear life, but Miz saved Hayes by giving him a push back into the ring, but that left himself vulnerable as Dunne dropkicked him out. But Hayes showed some solidarity here with his potential new partner and dumped out Dunne. So with just 4 men remaining, Andrade was impressive with a springboard dropkick to eliminate Nakamura. And then Rey Fenix made a huge rookie mistake as he thought he had dumped out both Andrade and Hayes at the same time and started to celebrate, but both men dangled from the top rope and survived, so Fenix took a little bit of punishment, but he regained his momentum, and when he went for a goodbye amigo kick, well, El Grande Americano came out of nowhere, got onto the apron, and made Fenix fall to the floor. So as El Grande Americano celebrated with a gracias, he then left and was not to be seen again. And that left Andrade and Hayes to rekindle their old rivalry, and we were all left hanging with a 3-1 record in their best of 7 series. And that was a very long rain delay, but I guess it was finally over, because this was Game 7, Part 2. And those 2 men went at it hard, and they both countered each other due to their familiarity with each other. But Andrade seemed to have the advantage with a huge back elbow, but that left both men laying on the mat as they were out of gas at this point. But Hayes recovered and landed a cutter, but Andrade went for some revenge with a springboard Spanish fly, but Hayes was able to stop it, and he flipped Andrade over the ropes and to the floor. So Carmelo Hayes is the ones as he celebrated with Andre and with The Miz, and he is 4-5-1 in all singles matches. Well, 26 men is a good field for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Rumble, and we're glad to see Chad Gable get cleared just in time to participate somewhere on WrestleMania weekend, but we were still missing some major potential participants, including Braun Strowman and Jimmy Uso. But it takes both luck and skill to win this match, but seeing both Hayes and Andrade be fortunate enough to make it to the end was surprisingly great to give us a conclusion to Game 7, so this gets a double okay. Just keep thinking that's not how you do it, as DIY attacks the Street Profits and runs off with the titles to give the Profits a DQ win. So yes, the Profits are the ones, and they quickly connected with a Doomsday Blockbuster on Sabin, but Shelley was there to break it up, so the match continued, and they continued to have an advantage for most of the match until Ford flipped over the turnbuckle and onto everyone, but his celebration was broken up when Gargano jumped off of the barricade to blindside Ford, which caused the DQ, and which I thought the WWE may actually call this a no contest, which they did on the graphic during the show, but of course we don't listen to them, so make sure to go to the site afterwards for the official call. However, this was the Prophet's second successful title defense, and they are 4-0 in traditional tags. But that makes the Machine Guns the twos, and they twice tried and failed on the Skull and Bones, but they did have a nice dropkick flatliner combo, and they take a tough loss with DIY's interference here, but they go to 5-2-1 in traditional tags. And the Machine Guns will also take fines for attacking the Prophets during their ring entrance, including throwing Ford into the barricade and then back into the ring to gain that advantage. But then, of course, the ref rang the bell without giving Ford an opportunity to recover, and while he was still in the opposing corner. So yet again, the epidemic continues, and the ref gets a "What were you thinking?" We need to mention that DIY will get a 1-week suspension as well for forcing the DQ. Now Nick Aldis forced DIY to give back the titles backstage and announced a TLC match for next week on SmackDown. So I guess that worked out well for DIY, but this match was not an appropriate celebration of the great tag division on WrestleMania SmackDown, so it has to get a double not okay. Next, we just keep seeing the code red in red, white, and green as Zelina alerts Chelsea with a super code red to defeat her for the second straight week in another non-title match. But Zelina is the one, so despite soaking up a lot of damage, she was able to flip Chelsea into the timekeeper's area, and they both just beat the count at 9, and she also had that wherewithal to stop a superplex and slam Chelsea's head onto the turnbuckle to set up that super code red. So that is 2 wins in 2 weeks against the champion, and she's 2-1 in one-on-one matches. And Chelsea is the twos, and she again got the better of Zelina for most of the match. But this is Chelsea, so she yelled at the ref for merely counting. Yeah, I guess that's just how we do things here. Anyways, she did also stop a 619 with a big boot, but since her Hervis was banned, she fell again and is 2-5 in one-on-one matches. This was a big improvement from last week, but Chelsea simply needs to keep her eyes on the prize, or her prize will be gone if she keeps complaining. But for now, this is okay. But we do need to give this one a special grade because Chelsea filed an official complaint to Nick Aldis for last week's DQ, but that made Aldis make a terrible decision to change the match from a 6-woman tag to a one-on-one match, which meant we were not getting Carter and Chance. And when that happens, Nick Aldis, you absolutely earn a double not okay. Next, we just keep not letting him fly solo as Jacob Fatu got the jump on LA Knight by knocking him off of the top rope before a megastar elbow, and that forced the DQ. So LA Knight is the ones as he singled out Tama Tonga in the parking lot to start the show and then slammed his arm into a car door, forcing him to go to the hospital. So that is of course a 1-week suspension. So with Sikoa now by himself, Knight took the time to attack him during Solo's ring entrance, so he'll pick up his second STF, this time just the fine. And he looked to put Sikoa away following a DDT, but Fatu was there to stop him short, but that gets him a win, so he's 7-0-1 in one-on-one matches. And Sikoa is the twos. It is pretty strange that he fought Randy Orton through the crowd last week, but didn't have anything to do with him this week, but he still falls to 0-3 in one-on-one matches. Well, this match simply ending early earns it an immediate double not okay, but we just keep being overly traumatic as LA Knight apparently thinks having 2 matches just 24 hours before defending his US title against Jacob Fatu is perfectly fine, and indeed he won tonight with a BFT on Sikoa in a tag team match. So LA Knight and Braun Strowman are the ones because Strowman came down to save Knight from the New Bloodline, if you still want to call him that. But then Knight avoided a Samoan spike to hit a BFT on Sikoa to get this win, so this randomly thrown together group is 1-0. So that makes Sikoa and Fatu the twos, and the only interesting note here was Sikoa and Fatu both doing back-to-back submissions, with Sikoa trying to keep in a sleeper, but then Fatu looked like he might try to pull something out of that Daredevil finale from this week, but no spoilers here. However, they go to 0-2 in traditional tags. It was nice of Aldis to think quickly on his feet to try to salvage something from that ruined one-on-one match, but this match also just gets a not okay. So in our main event of the final SmackDown of this WrestleMania calendar year, we just keep thinking this was a bad idea because Julius Creed eats an Operation Dragon and a Meteora as American Made falls to a brand new luchador trio. So Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, and Rey Fenix are the ones as Fenix again wowed us, and he was able to connect on a goodbye amigo kick this time around with no El Grande Americano in sight, and Dragon Lee had a really nice triple stomp from the top rope. So these three guys gonna wanna know. But that makes American Made the twos, and El Grande Americano must have hightailed it out of there to prepare for his WrestleMania match. So the other three men of American Made were still there, and they landed a nice triple flying headbutt early on, and then the Creed brothers connected on a Brutus ball, but Julius earned a 0 grade for awareness here because he simply leaned up against the post during Brutus's pin attempt, and that allowed Rey Fenix to dive in to break up the count. So Julius, yeah, you are also getting a what were you thinking? Nonetheless, our American Made trio goes to 0-1, but we will note that Chad Gable must be the weak link here as El Grande Americano won his 6-man tag with the Creeds on Raw a couple weeks ago. But the big news here is that Rey Mysterio was injured during this match because he was only able to lay ringside during the latter part of it, putting his WrestleMania match potentially in jeopardy. And perhaps it was me who jinxed him because I called him out on Monday that it was probably not a good idea to have that match, but then I acknowledged that he must know his body best. But it seems like this match was just one match too many, so I guess we'll wait with bated breath to see if he can even attempt to take on El Grande Americano. And for that, this match has to get a double not okay. And with that, let's go beyond the mat for SmackDown as Seth Rollins started the show sitting in the pipe bomb style position in the middle of the ring, saying that neither Punk nor Reigns care about the WWE, but he will sacrifice everything to make sure that business moves forward in the right direction, ending with saying that that is not a prediction, that's a spoiler, and that's double okay. We had snippets of Wade Barrett's pre-taped interviews with both Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton, with Charlotte saying she doesn't love their interactions from a few weeks ago, but that makes everyone invested in this match. And then Tiffy claimed to be bullied by Charlotte, but she came back prepared and landed a kill shot. So I guess we'll have to see if that is indeed the case, but fortunately it is time to see if either of them can back this up inside the ring. But for today, this gets a double not okay. Rhea Ripley was supposed to cut a solo promo, but she was of course interrupted by both Io Sky and Bianca Belair, with Io being disrespected by Bianca, with not being able to get a single word out before she came to the ring. But then Naomi cut off Bianca, complaining that Bianca will not even talk to her. So then Jade stopped Naomi, and with Bianca getting in between both of them, Jade thought that Bianca was taking Naomi's side, which allowed Naomi to go right back around and blindside Jade into Rhea and Bianca. So we had two separate brawls going on at the same time, leaving Io in the ring alone to watch it all go down until she decided to land an over the moonsault to the floor, taking out Bianca, Rhea, and several WWE officials. So Io has to get a 1-week suspension for the collateral damage of taking out those officials. Well, this was kind of a chaotic mess, and we'll see if this gives Io the momentum that she needs to retain. But for tonight, this is not okay. Randy Orton said that there's no way he is sitting out his 20th WrestleMania, so he is showing up on Sunday with just the right amount of baby oil. And I don't think anyone on TV or on YouTube particularly wants to think about that. So Orton put on an open challenge, daring them to step up and warning that they will fall victim to the RKO. And I'm not sure why Aldis isn't doing his job to just book this man a match, but for Orton himself, I guess that is okay. We got another cryptic vignette, but thank goodness these will be going away because they gave us a date for 25/25, which is next week's SmackDown. And if whoever this is didn't start soon, I would prefer that that person would just fade to black and disappear. But since this is the last one, it is okay. And finally, John Cena interrupted Cody Rhodes before he could say a word, telling Rhodes to shut his mouth, kid. And then Cena told us that he doesn't need a single one of us and told Cody that the title becomes too heavy for him on Sunday, saying that Rhodes will lose because he cares for them. And Cena also finally mentioned The Rock, so that was amazing in itself. I'm glad that finally happened. And he gave Rhodes a choice, saying he either needs to want the fans or to want to win, and he needs to stop caring for them if he wants to accomplish anything in life, saying Rhodes will be somebody who had a chance to be a real winner and blew it if he chooses the fans. But when Rhodes finally went to speak, he got booed by those fans. So maybe that actually lit a fire inside of him because he finally laid it all on the line, calling Cena overrated, overbearing, out of touch, out of time. His face is melted wax. He has a stack of dimes for a neck. He has spindly legs. He is paler than Sting at Starrcade in '97, and calling him sanctimonious for calling him an errand boy when he was the one on naked on the Oscars stage for the people that he now runs errands for, and saying it is 2025 and Cena still can't wrestle. And while that last one is obviously not true because you simply cannot win 16 world championships without being able to wrestle, Cena said that he doesn't need to wrestle, so he cracked him on the side of the face where he was injured at the Chamber and went for an AA, only to have Rhodes, for the second straight confrontation, turn this into a Cross Rhodes. So yes, Cena does have to pick up a fine for instigating here, but the no wrestling thing aside, thank you, Cody, for finally getting close to the level of the GOAT on the mic. I know you'll never get there, but you did a good job today here, kid. Regardless, will you take Cena's advice on Sunday and forget those people out there, or will that cost you in the end? I think we all can't wait to find out, so this gets a double okay. After that ending, we're all ready for WrestleMania, and the SportsZu is too, because he picked winners in all 14 matches as well as 14 prop bets, so be sure to go right on over here and check those out. And if you do, you'll end the weekend richer, just like Carmelo Hayes ended it with a big old trophy. And for tonight, that is okay.